Recording in progress.
Respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, and honored guests, a very good morning to one and all. I'm Dr. Afreen, Assistant Registrar, Yenepoya deemed to be University, and it is my privilege to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each one of you on this special occasion as we celebrate the remarkable 100-year journey of the Association of Indian Universities. On this momentous occasion, Yenepoya deemed to be University is privileged to host the AIU Centenary Lecture in honor of this significant milestone. To begin the event on a blessed note, I now invite Mr. Mohammad Amin, an intern from Yenepoya Dental College, to lead us in invocation.
Good morning. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى. Read in the name of your Lord who has created man from a clot. Read, and your Lord is most generous, who has taught by the pen, has taught man that which he knew not. Now verily, man does not transgress all bounds, because that he considers himself self-sufficient. Surely unto your Lord is the return. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alim. I would now like to invite our esteemed Registrar, Dr. Gangadhar Somayaji sir, to deliver the welcome address.
Respected Professor Dr. Sandeep Sanchetti sir, the esteemed speaker for today, Honorable Vice Chancellor sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, Controller of Examination, Deans of the various faculties, faculty members from the different departments, and all other people who have gathered here, and also Professor Dr. Alok Mishra, who is the Joint Secretary of AIU, who has been attending virtually, and all other people, delegates who have been the witness to this particular lecture through the virtual as well as the physical mode. Good morning to all of you on behalf of the university. It's in fact indeed a privilege for our university to host this centenary lecture as a part of centenary celebrations of the Association of Indian Universities. As our Honorable Vice Chancellor is also a member of AIU. In fact, Professor Sanchetti is the former chairman of AIU as well. So we thought actually when this privilege was bestowed upon us, we thought he is the best person to give this centenary lecture on behalf of our university. Another reason for asking him is he is also our executive council member. In fact, when you listen to him, you will know his different kind of insight on the development of higher education in India. We are all eager to hear him. In fact, when we requested him, without any second thoughts, he agreed immediately, and he has given us, in fact, full 3 days here with us. So we are very, very eager to listen to you, sir. Thank you from the bottom of our, on behalf of the university, I thank you, and also I welcome you on behalf of the university for this particular lecture, sir. And I welcome our Vice Chancellor sir, who in fact has given us this kind of encouragement to conduct these programs here. Immediately when we asked him about whether we can host this lecture, he has agreed, and he has also guided us in conducting this event, and it is, all of you know here, and also people online also should know. In the last 10 years, whatever our university has achieved is all because of our the visionary of our Honorable Chancellor, as well as the efforts of our Honorable Vice Chancellor. In fact, when our Vice Chancellor took over, we were only 4 constituent units with nearly 4,000 students. Now we have grown to 12 faculties of studies with more than 18,000 students, and we have expanded in different directions as well. It's all because of his efforts. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of the university. I welcome Dr. Alok Mishra, who is representing AIU, and he is attending virtually this particular program. In fact, he has also encouraged us. We had a nice chat about, I think, day before yesterday, for almost 15 minutes or so regarding our university as well as regarding AIU. Thank you for attending virtually, sir. I welcome my Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Shripati Rao, Dr. Nandish, Controller of Examination, Deans of the various faculties of studies, directors, center heads, and all other faculty members for this kind of a unique lecture which is going to begin soon. Thank you one and all for your presence here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that warm and gracious welcome. Your inspiring words have truly set the tone for this significant event. We now proceed with the traditional lighting of the lamp, a timeless symbol of knowledge and enlightenment. I kindly invite our esteemed dignitaries to come forward and do the honors of lighting the ceremonial lamp. We are indeed privileged to be joined today by Dr. Alok Kumar Mishra, the Joint Secretary of the Association of Indian Universities, who is present with us virtually. Dr. Mishra is a distinguished administrator whose insightful leadership continues to guide and strengthen the vision of AIU. It is now my honor to invite Dr. Mishra to deliver the introductory remarks and share his thoughts as we celebrate this remarkable centenary milestone. Over to you, sir.
Very good morning to everyone. One and all, it's really I'm very happy that your university has really very thoughtfully selected the speaker, Professor Sancheti sir. Sandeep Sancheti sir is basically earlier served as a president of AIU. And so I'm very happy that you all invited, and your universities is basically join hand to celebrating the AIU 100-year century celebration. All who are physically present there. I want to really to say my namaskar to everyone, and thanks to be really present in this very special moment. I'm traveling. I'm in Odisha for some of work here. So, but it will be very good that if I can present there. But anyhow, I want just to brief about, as the anchor mentioned, that to introductory remarks about the AIU. I think everyone know that in education, one is apex body. Indian education is basically, established by the English government. So, in we all aware, in 1925, basically when the Calcutta, Bombay, Madras universities was established. In 1835, 25, when they started this vision, at the time after the decade that the English government had realized need apex body, and who look basically integrate all universities. Inter-university matters should be resolved by one board. So the Sutler Commission was established. A Sutler Commission had recommended in 1919, recommended for a Inter-University Board of India. To follow this concept, then and there, Viceroy Lord Irwin basically called a meeting in Simla in 1924. In 1924, they called the meeting, and in that meeting was basically the Inter-University Board of India was come to the reality. So it's a long, we can realize it's a long journey. At that time was basically AIU. Now we know the AIU. The name was changed in 1973. There is a history in between. So in 1924, when Association of Indian Universities was basically announced by the Lord Irwin, and the Viceroy was addressed the whole gathering, and he mentioned that the government have a slightest intention to intervene in the process and procedure of the board. This board should be independent and lead by the learned vice chancellors. That time was the Education Commissioner of India. He wanted to chair the session. Especially when I really the basically document, then found that as he specially instructed to the Education Commission of India. The education body should be headed by only the senior vice chancellor, and then this tradition was established that senior most vice chancellor will be the chair of the Association of Indian Universities. Now they call, at the time it was called Inter-University Board of India. So after this announcement and everything, that was government to start basically start by some little fund, and then basically the whole frame was basically established, and first meeting was basically called in the University of Bombay library. First meeting held in Bombay. So, and formally all documents were prepared after the year, and so 23rd March 1925, the Association of Indian Universities, the meeting started, and the chair. So that we officially consider the 1925 establishment of Inter-University Board of India. Now it's called Association of Indian Universities. So it's 100-year long journey. 100 साल की एक सी विरासत भारत में लगातार सतत रूप से भारतीय शिक्षा को समृद्ध और उन्नयन और उसके विकास के उसके उत्कृष्ट बनाने में लगा हुआ इस संस्थान अपनी एक नई ऐतिहासिकता को छू रहा है। एक ऐसे इतिहास जिसको बनाने में बहुत सारे लोगों ने अपनी सेवाएं दी हैं। उनमें से आज के हमारे जो मुख्य वक्ता हैं प्रोफेसर संचेती सर, वो भी भारतीय विश्वविद्यालय संघ के प्रेसिडेंट के रूप में कार्य कर चुके हैं। आपको ज्ञात होगा कि भारत के दो महान राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर सर्वपल्ली राधाकृष्णन जी भारतीय विश्वविद्यालय संघ के प्रेसिडेंट रहे और बाद में भारत के राष्ट्रपति बने। ऐसे ही हमारी महान परंपरा के द्योतक डॉक्टर जाकिर हुसैन साहब जो भारतीय विश्वविद्यालय संघ के प्रेसिडेंट रहे और बाद में वो महान भारत के राष्ट्रपति बने। जाकिर हुसैन साहब ने बहुत कुछ बड़ा योगदान भारतीय विश्वविद्यालय संघ को संगठित करने में और नई ऊंचाइयां देने में अपना मार्गदर्शन किया और ऐसे तमाम सारे इस 100 वर्षों में लोगों ने भारतीय विश्वविद्यालय संघ को अपने सोच अपने विचारों के द्वारा नई ऊंचाइयां दी। उनमें से आज आप और हम सब के मध्य में उपस्थित 100 वर्ष की इस ऐतिहासिक जो हम समारोह को सृजित करके हम 100 सेंचुरी लेक्चर में मना रहे हैं, भारतीय विश्वविद्यालय संघ के शताब्दी वर्ष मना रहे हैं। उसमें हमारे ऐसे महान, ऐसे चिंतक, ऐसे जिन्होंने शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में लगातार योगदान दिया है, आज आपके बीच जैसे मैंने बताया कि उपस्थित हैं। वो भी उसी, हम आशा करते हैं आने वाले दिनों में वो ऐसे ही भारत को और हमें नया गौरव प्रदान करेंगे। जैसा हमने बताया कि परंपरा में रहा है कि जो ऐसे उत्कृष्ट लोग रहे हैं उन्होंने भारत को विश्वविद्यालय संघ से जाने के बाद जो है भारत की गरिमा को बढ़ाया है, भारत को भी एक नई ऊंचाई सोच दी है। तो हम ऐसी सर बैठे हुए हम ऐसी हम आशा करते हैं, ऐसी अपेक्षा करते हैं और ऐसी प्रार्थना भी करते हैं कि आप आने वाले दिनों में भारत के इस महान नेतृत्व को भी आप प्रदान करें, हमें और भी गर्व होगा। देश एक नई शिक्षा व्यवस्था को लागू करने में, उसको संपादित करने में संलग्न है, लगातार प्रयास सरकार कर रही है। लेकिन भारतीय जो शिक्षा व्यवस्था है उसमें बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस रहे हैं। आज जब हम भारतीय विश्वविद्यालय संघ के शताब्दी वर्ष को मना रहे हैं तो ये शताब्दी वर्ष एक इबादत के रूप में है, एक मैसेज के रूप में है। वो ऐसे समय पे हो रहा है जब भारत अपनी शिक्षा व्यवस्था में एक नए अपेक्षाओं को, नई आशाओं को, नए विचारों को और नए समय की आवश्यकताओं के अनुसार उसे परिवर्तित करके उसमें और नई चीजों को अंग्रेजित करके आगे ले जाने के लिए कटिबद्ध है। तो ऐसे में ये 100 वर्ष और भी महत्वपूर्ण हो जाता है। भारतीय विश्वविद्यालय संघ, जैसा मैंने बताया, ये स्थापना के बाद ये 1973 में इसका नाम भारतीय विश्वविद्यालय संघ के रूप में, एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंडियन यूनिवर्सिटी के रूप में परिवर्तित किया गया। उसके पीछे दो कारण थे। 1972 में श्रीलंका, पहले इंटरनेशनल बोर्ड ऑफ इंडिया एंड सेलोन तक ये था। श्रीलंका ने आजादी के बाद अपने को अलग रखने के लिए पत्र भेजा कि मुझे इससे अलग कर दिया जाए, हम अभी सोवरेन कंट्री हो चुके हैं। और उसी वक्त द्वितीय विश्व युद्ध के बाद के पश्चात यूनाइटेड नेशन ने की विंग यूनेस्को ने एक बॉडी को सपोर्ट किया और स्थापना कराई, एस्टेब्लिश किया। वो था इंटरनेशनल एसोसिएशन ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटीज, IAU। IAU की स्थापना के बाद 70s के दशक में जब स्थापना ये हुई तो बाकी विश्व के जो देश थे वहां पे इस प्रकार संस्थान नहीं थे, बट भारत क्योंकि कॉलोनी था, इंग्लिश कॉलोनी था, यहां पहले से ही ऐसी हमारी अपनी एजुकेशन की एक अपेक्स बॉडी थी। तो हर जगहों पे एसोसिएशन ऑफ जापान, एसोसिएशन ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटीज ऑफ जर्मनी, you know the Canada, in England, everywhere the body start establishing. So they were also approaching in India. Then they realize that already have a body, and that will be new body will be going to introduce. That maybe there will be some share responsibility. So we are already performing. Why not we rename this thing and take responsibility of the this association also. What is the vision and mission of the basically the International Association of Universities? What they are basically asking, and they want to establish. In the light of this, there was a association of Commonwealth universities. They also want to basically to work like a association of Indian universities. So to counter all of these things, finally the diaspora, all the universities and vice chancellor decided to rename this name, and because the association of the Commonwealth universities is also charging happy amount to be member. At the time, so realize when we we are now independent. Why we basically to be run by the Association of Commonwealth Universities. So anyhow, the background, what I learned basically, I found that is that time they decided finally to rename this body and also spread the basically the mission and vision of the association. So finally, in 1973, International Board of India name was changed as Association of Indian Universities. This university is like United Nations, like all United Nations are there, and apex body is United Nations. Same way, all universities in India is like a state, and Association of Indian Universities is basically like United Nations. So all of the member universities are really strength of Association of Universities. The Association of Indian Universities is basically for the universities, and universities is basically for the association. So this is a think tank working from the government of India and played a vital role in establishment of University Grant Commission. I think people are aware, in 1962, basically, the proposal, and very early was discussion by the Radhakrishnan ji, who want to really to support the University Grant Commission. He said that in England was University Grant Commission in England. So the same, they want a body in India, and that time was the initial draft was ready in AIU only, and AIU proposed for this thing. So we need a body inside India who can support the universities. So University Grant Commission was adopted in the length of basically as in England. So University Grant Commission was conceived in AIU, and the whole process and whole advocacy was basically processed by the association. And finally, the University Grant Commission was established to strengthen the Indian education system. So this is very vital role. Association of Indian Universities play vital role in different organizations, because it's one of the second oldest body, apex body of the world. And nowadays, you feel proud and clap for this. Is the world largest body in India is called, the world largest body as education network is called Association of Indian Universities. Now this is proud for the nation that we have the body which is the largest body. We have now more than 1,000 universities network. No country have such the big network. So this is basically the beauty of the organization. AI play a vital role in the sports, in promotion. In the sport promotion is the central nodal agency for sport promotion. Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports basically recognized as a sports promotion organization. And Khelo India programs also conducted by the now this basically through the AIU, and World Game and Inter-University Games. You all aware, and all students and faculty know that all the participate. And the Youth Affair, where all over India, the programs used to be, it's called Youth Festival program through the AIU only. And beyond that, we all aware, AIU played a vital role in the policy formation. Time to time, what the need of the universities, what is the requirement, what are challenges. Every year, we conduct 5 journal meetings and 1 national Vice Chancellor conference. Through these meetings and conference, we prepare a draft, and the draft basically sent to the this draft goes to the Parliament, goes to the Prime Minister, go to the President of India office, and goes to all governors. The all Vice Chancellors meetings, what happened, what discussion, it's good come to as annual report, and this report go to the Parliament, and beyond that, what is every meetings, what is recommendation, what universities are thinking, as a recommendation, through letter also forwarded to the competent authorities. So, and Government of India, when really need to implement anything, any information, any policy, they are planning to that at bottom level. So AIU play a vital role now, like the role of AI in education. So AI was the first that who conducted the committee, who really established a committee for this thing, how and examine whole thing. Even then, in the leadership of our former president, Sancheti sir, so that time was this new education policy, how the new education policy played a vital role. There is a part of committees. So they evaluate whole policy, and later on our presidents who really play other vital role, and finally to give recommendation where the reforms require, how we can implement. So too many documents in support of the government. The implementation plan was basically to send to the government proper documentation and too many things. Any issues which is important for education, AIU always play on the front and give a very, very strong recommendation, strong suggestions, and a strong view for how we can really strengthen our education system. So I think now this is time for our honorable chief guest. Today's is a very versatile. He's one of the man I really personally I like, and we really travel all over India in different conferences. Sir have vision very clear. His speech is like we find that is when he speaks basically is touched to the heart. So I would like to really to call all of you to really clap through heart, clap through heart, clap your heart, not hand, clap your heart. Now this really the legendary in the field of education. Today is your really the guest, and also for AIU is one of the basically the greatest speaker in this century celebrations program. We decided to conduct 100 lectures of eminent personalities in this celebration of 100 year of AIU. So we already conducted too many lectures, and the universities in your university, this program going to really play a great role. So thank you. I would like to thanks to the Vice Chancellor, Honorable Registrar, who really just before me that he was addressing. Sir was very kind. He's an ENT surgeon, so people should be your ears and should be really you should be. I want to pray that be alert. God is kind. We have given to we can listen. हम सुन सकते हैं, हम बोल सकते हैं, हम देख सकते हैं. So thanks to the God has given. So be alert and to welcome to our today's mesmerizing speaker and one of the renowned personality, Professor Sancheti sir. I want to welcome and to call on stage to sir and to start the program. And we always, and this program going to be live around the nation, going to live through the AI portal also for different universities. And this will be going to publish. So we request to a manuscript of the program, the lecture, so this lecture can publish with the name of the university. So without taking further, I again request to the organizer, call over the special speaker to start this lecture. Thank you so much to joining today, and thank you organizing in this way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are truly grateful for your virtual presence on this occasion. We now come to a highlight of today's program, the AIU Centenary Lecture, a tribute to a century of academic excellence, collaboration, and progress. It is with great pride and honor that I take this opportunity to introduce our distinguished speaker for the day, Dr. Sandeep Sancheti, who brings with him an exceptional wealth of knowledge and experience. Dr. Sancheti is a visionary academic leader, institutional builder, and policy planner who has made remarkable contributions to the field of education. He holds a B.Tech from NIT Warangal, an MSc Engineering from DTU Delhi, and a PhD from Queen's University, Belfast, UK. Currently, he serves as the Vice President, Research Relations and Academic Ambassador at Elsevier, India, where he continues to shape the academic landscape. Dr. Sancheti has been serving many professional bodies like FICCI, CSIR, DST, AIU, NAC, and several others, contributing in different capacities. In addition, he has also served on national level committees of the Ministry of Education, UGC, AICTE, and AIU for education-related matters, and has been a part of several Indian delegations abroad. Dr. Sancheti has also held leadership roles in institutions of national importance, including the directorship of 7 NITs like NIT K Surathkal, NIT Trichy, NIT Calicut, NIT Delhi, and SPA Delhi, and key positions at renowned universities like Manipal University Jaipur as President, SRMIST Chennai as Vice Chancellor, and Marwadi University Rajkot as Provost. His remarkable contributions have earned him prestigious recognitions, including the Commonwealth Scholarship and Fellowship under the Colombo Plan. Dr. Sancheti has also served as the past president of the Association of Indian Universities and is an executive council member of the Association of Commonwealth Universities, London. He has also had the honor of addressing the members of Parliament, Government of India, on matters related to education. We are equally privileged to mention that Dr. Sancheti serves as an executive council member at Yenepoya deemed to be university, contributing his extensive experience and vision to our institution. Sir, we are deeply honored to have you here today, and we look forward to gaining from your invaluable insights. I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. M. Vijay Kumar Sir, to kindly present a memento to Dr. Sandeep Sancheti as a token of appreciation for his extraordinary contributions to the field of education and his inspiring leadership. I now invite Dr. Sandeep Sancheti sir to deliver the centenary lecture.
Hello. I'll point here. A very good morning to everyone. Friends, I'm indeed very happy to be amongst you today as we are celebrating the centenary year of the Association of Indian Universities, to which I've been associated for a long time, and I was also the former president of AIU in 2018-19. The rest of the details obviously have been given to you by my colleague Alokji, who talked about AIU recently. I'm also very happy here to be with you because I'm also associated with your university for the last 3-4 years as a member of the executive committee. Of course, some time back it was named differently, but very happy to see the university in the shape I have seen it last time. I was here a couple of months back, and I'm very happy and excited to be talking to you today on a subject which is becoming very close to my heart, now more so because of my current role with the Elsevier, but also since beginning when I became a teacher or a lecturer and my journey started. But unfortunately at that time the conditions were not so very good for us to do research, or it was not very conducive, but I'm very happy that today I'm able to contribute to that. So first of all, I'd like to recognize and acknowledge this invitation from the Yenopaya deemed to be university, particularly Dr. Yenopaya Abdullah Kuni Saab, who is the Chancellor and the founder, Mr. Muhammad Farad Yenopaya Saab, the Pro-Chancellor, good friend Professor M. Vijay Kumar Saab, the Vice Chancellor, the Pro-Chancellor, Dr. Shripati Rao Saab, and then Somayaji, all other those who are present here, the deans, directors, senior faculty members, and my dear students. Equally important to acknowledge on this occasion is the team at AIU, led by Professor Pathak, who is the current president, the Secretary General, Professor Pankaj Mittal, and of course Dr. Alok Mishra ji, who talked to you. And also I'd like to recognize all those who might have joined us online, or maybe joining online a little deferred mode, because online gives you that opportunity. So warm welcome to this celebration of what we call the centenary year or the centenary lecture of AIU. I'm going to talk to you about transforming higher education for a knowledge-driven society. We all know that we are living in a knowledge society, knowledge era or knowledge century. Various ways we have used this particular terminology. But talking about integrating research, innovation, and social impact is something very important. Some things you might be doing, you might be knowing, some things you may not know. I'll try to bring a different perspective in terms of what should be done, can be done, and how we are performing. So I have a large number of slides. I know that there will be a limitation of time. I'll keep that in mind. Some of the slides will be skipped by me just to make a mention of certain point or a pattern. I'll probably bring them, but I'll try to explain you some of the points which are there. So these are some of the points which I intend to discuss. As you can see, about AIU, YU, the Yenopaya University and Elsevier a little bit, changes and transformations which we are required to undertake, research and innovation, India's research performance. We should constantly know what we are doing, where we are reaching, where we are in this part of journey, and therefore this is important. Then industrial and social interaction, research elements which I believe are going to be very important in times to come. Thought leadership reports, which gives you an insight into the future or various other things, academic evaluation frameworks, and then some AI and research failures, which I presume is very close to my heart because I faced many failures. So I thought some of you, those who are young, possibly should know a little bit more about it. And so I'll try to cover as much as I can. So first of all, about AIU, everything has been said here by Professor Alok Mishra. You know that two of the presidents of the country were also the former presidents of AIU. And then, of course, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee ji also was the president of AIU. And we have a very unique position where the inter-university, all sports, cultural and various other things, no other body does. Even UGC doesn't do that. So just a brief description is what I have given you. But it does research into what prevails and functions in higher education space. Okay, not research of any science or any economics or whatever. It does research that what works in the Indian university system is what it does. Okay, so these kind of activities which are very unique, and there are no parallel bodies which are able to do it. And they, of course, have lots of other publications, journals, reports, and they connect us. And initially, they were also doing heavily into internationalization and whatnot. Everything was happening there. So you can see that AIU is obviously an important body other than whatever the statutory bodies we have. About Yenagoya University, I need not say much, but I must say that I was fairly impressed by the last three things which I happened to visit when I was here last time. The Tata Center, Tata Supported Center for Oncology, and then the incubator and the research center, and all these facilities were overwhelming for me. I have not seen good quality and with intensity and with purpose these things being done. I visit a lot of institutions, by the way. I see a lot of such things elsewhere also, but I was very impressed by that. I wish I can devote more time to learn more about that. But also congratulations to Professor Vijay Kumarji and his team for under his leadership you attained good NIR rank and good NAC rating, etc. also. So that's wonderful. A little bit about my own setup, which is Elsevier, which I represent now. So one of the largest publishers, scholarly publisher of the world, you can say. And then various things in the second line, what we publish. It has a scopus, which has become quite famous or well known for whatever reasons, but it's a curated database. Recently, it has reached a level of what you call 100 million abstracts, or the data points, you can say, records, and it comes from something like 30,000 journals world over. Not everything is published by Elsevier, and something around 7,000 publishers contribute to what comes in this scopus. It's quite huge, and the same thing you can possibly see in the form of Science Direct and various things. So you can see that it's a huge, huge thing, and this is a verified data. This is a qualified data. This is a peer-reviewed data over a period of century or even more, and therefore it has its own value in the current world where we are talking about AI. That's the beauty of this. No other databases can possibly easily compete with this kind of a database. And therefore you can see. And then something like 17 to 18% of scientific publications gets published into the in the journals of what we call Elsevier. Something like around 28-29% of citations are global citations are in the Elsevier, this thing. So it's in that sense quite huge. It's also in existence for 140 years, present in 180 countries. I think this sets the background that I'm representing all the three in certain capacity, the AIU as a former president, the Yenagoya University as a member of the board of executive committee, council, and then Elsevier as an employee right now. So whatever we are trying to do in this knowledge era, knowledge society, we are trying to improve the world, we are trying to improve our country, our state, our people, our surroundings in whatever fashion. And therefore you can say that we want it to be a Vikasit Bharat, the developed India, and certainly by 2047, around 22 years from the now, there is a big mission which we are trying to drive, that we should be a fully developed nation. And development could be socially, industrially, economically, agriculturally, whatever you can say, and ultimately various other aspects will come. And maybe stability in terms of geographical or political nature or whatever, all these things should be there. But I personally, being from the technological background, I consider technology is the real driver for change for things above it and below it. That's my belief. I may be wrong. You may be from a different background, think it differently. I know that all others are equally important, but my understanding over last 200 years is that people or the world has changed once the technology has set in, whether it's China in terms of manufacturing, or whether it was Japan in electronics or Taiwan or whatever, or whether it was something to do with the other things, right from a steam engine to anything called manufacturing in Europe and US and all that. The wave continues. It cannot be caught and made stable in one state or one region. And therefore, technology is the one which is driving all the changes. If the technology is good in India, like IT happened, the growth of India happened, the recognition for India happened, various things happened. And therefore, technology is what we are going to talk about today mostly. When I say technology, I'm also referring it loosely to the science and technology or engineering or medicine or whatever, all those things which are there. So understanding the changes, this morning we were just discussing over a cup of tea. I'm putting a Hindi phrase here. Changes are must if you want to survive. Changes are essential if you want to grow. Remaining static with your thought process, with your physical body, or with whatever your country or your space is, will not be good in terms of growth. And therefore changes or disruptions, I call them sometimes, are important. Disruption, when you don't accept the change, it becomes disruptive. When you accept it, it remains to be a change. All right? So there is a saying, padhoge, likhoge, banoge kharab, kheloge, kudoge, banoge kharab, padhoge, likhoge, banoge nawab. This used to be the saying when I was a child. That means don't play, just read, study and prepare. I think those concepts have changed in the sense that today if you want to be multimillionaire and very famous in the world and recognized, I think sports will be a good route for doing that. So concept has changed, disruption has happened. This is something very big for me. I used to see a mural in Bombay when I used to travel close to the airport, where a lady is shown to be giving birth to a child, but what was written below that mural, which was a life-size kind of a mural, and it was shown that a child giving birth to a mother, not a mother giving birth to a child, which is a common notion, as we will understand, but there is a 180-degree shift in terms of understanding. So that's, again, we should be open to exactly opposite actions and reactions also when it comes to disruptions. The same way, analog or digital, the world over, given a choice, would I like to hear Lata Mangeshkar's voice in analog? That's the natural one. But it happens to be coming to me digitally. So digitally is nothing but a translation. But there can be something else which can happen to the translation. But what I'm saying is analog is a natural world, but digital is everything. And India is becoming very big in digital also. You know that. So world is changing. We have to accept it. There are many features of the changed world also. And when it comes to the education to which all of us belong to, when I was a young faculty, the whole emphasis in the class was cover the course. But it's now the uncover the course. Unfortunately, I'll not be able to explain these things in details in with example and all that. We used to have subjects fixed, everything frozen. Even now it happens. And some teacher comes and we pull him in and say, hey, you teach this subject, and that's how the teaching learning happens. It should be the reverse. There should be subjects around teachers. If Sandeep Sancheti comes to Yenapoya, whatever expertise he brings, there should be a subject around that rather than anything else. So these changes should happen. The labs used to be physical, but it can be virtual with the same intensity, with more safety, with more users 24/7, and doing the same experiment like the physical ones through electronic interfaces. I'm not talking about simulations, I'm talking about the real experimentation and without any chance to destroy them. If I'm physically doing, I can play around and destroy something if teacher is not there or I make a mistake or whatever, but here things are changing. Exams. Earlier used to be highly secretive or closed room, but now it can be or should be open book kind of a thing. Education was only one time till around 25 you finish it, and then you work till 55, 65, 75, whatever, but now it's a lifelong. So that concept is also changing. Existence of universities can possibly change. I'm forewarning here that right now we have the power of giving degrees, and everything else also with degrees. Others do not have the power of giving degrees, and therefore if they get it, we'll be in trouble. And even if they don't get it, if their work is better than ours, people will accept certificates more than the degrees, and therefore the disruptions will come. So please be ready for disruption. All right, that's one thing which I would suggest to all of you to make sure that at least in your today's homework, if you can do that yourself, what do you think will be a big disruption which you have faced in your life in last 1 year or are going to face in next 1 or 2 years? If you do that, your thought processes to improve, change, and think about these things will happen. And that's what I would want you to do. All right, so in any case, we are talking about education or knowledge. Education is a very wholesome term. I will call it one pill for all ills. Particularly if anything is wrong in the society, anything you want to improve society, you can possibly say that it can be routed through the education path. And obviously, key role should be to drive the societal and industrial changes in an impactful way. Industry, because that's the thing which produces the ideas to goods and services and all that. That's why I brought the industry very specifically here. Okay, so when we are talking about the education, the word education will encompass what you call the research and innovation, which is the title or topic of our discussion today. Automatically, education is a very wholesome term. And in the same fashion, when I'm talking about research, it encompasses innovation, it encompasses consulting, testing, it also encompasses innovation, incubation, entrepreneurship, and things like that. So these are some loose but wide terms which are there. So here, we know that as teachers, how many of you are teachers? Just in case you can raise hand quickly. Okay, quite a few. Thank you. So you know that as a teacher, when I was a young teacher, I'll collect a lot of books, materials, journals, whatever, and assimilate all the information such that I know the subject. And then I go to the class and deliver that whole thing to the class, and so I disseminate the information. This was my role as a knowledge worker when I was young, or maybe till 10 years back, I would say. But this role is not complete. You can possibly see the first one is by reading and studying and accumulating and collecting. I used to do the assimilation, dissemination through these methods which I have shown. But what is more important today is this one, generation of the knowledge. Earlier, the generation of knowledge was happening from outside advanced world. We say, oh, this book is by this author from USA or Germany or wherever, and we used to consider that as a Bible or a very good reference. But who was generating that information? Same people, but we were not doing it. So we need to emphasize on what we call the research. And research is nothing but generation of information or new knowledge or whatever you can say. So research, innovate, all falls in generation. And it comes through collaboration, publishing, patenting, sharing, technology transfer. And I'll give you some examples of that. So today we are talking about research, we are talking about innovation, and we are talking about societal impact. All right? Societal impact is something very new and very difficult thing, let me tell you. For anyone to understand that very easily will be extremely, extremely difficult, because the parameters are very wide, spectrum is very wide, the range is very wide in terms of what can happen. But anyway, we'll talk about that. So I hope you understand that none of you or none of us in India now as a teacher should think, no, my duty was only to teach in the classroom, evaluate for the examinations, do this, do that, and finish. No. Our equal amount of duty is to generate that knowledge which we want to assimilate and disseminate. Okay, and by generating the knowledge, we will become the leaders. By generating the knowledge, we will become the so-called researchers also. Okay, and by the way, I must tell you that when we buy a car, when we buy new clothes, when we buy a house, all of us do fantastic research. Not only you, your kids do that. They tell you that which car to buy and which color to, this, and which boutique to go. And these days you do it for food also. And when you go to a restaurant, you tell them this masala, this, that, something like that. And you do a lot of research what you want to do. The same thing is to be applied to your professional life, that you have to do research. Okay, anyone who is averse to research should think about it, discuss with their friends, and change their mind. I know that 20 years back when I was in the government system and some of us were trying to do research, others were laughing at us. Hey, here is this guy trying to do research, showing off as if he knows something beyond something. This was the attitude they had, but today the attitude should change, and that's why I was calling it disruption or the change, which is important. I hope you understand it, and I hope you are, with two hands up, you are all ready to do your research. Okay, that should be the expectation, and I'm sure the three things which I have named here, which I liked when I visited last time, were all to do with the research here in Yenagoa, deemed to be university itself. All right, so research is going to be the mainstay if you want to be in the good leadership and development stage. Now here comes something very important. Please pay attention to this. And this is an age of data. We know new oil and all that, everything we know about it. Data leads to information. Information leads to intelligence. I need not explain much about these. That leads to wisdom, which is a futuristic version sometimes. Someone can foresee some intuition, something can happen. Sometimes we see some of the leaders, good or bad, they have that foresight, whatever is there. So wisdom. And then whatever you're trying to do, does it have a relevance? I think has to be seen. Okay, these are very important. And these, obviously, if it is irrelevant, there is no point in doing it also. So relevance. But then what comes next is the applications, and finally comes the impact. If the application is there, then it is a benefit to society, and which is what government is looking at when they are funding your research. These days, those who have submitted projects recently probably would note that there are some specific questions in the last 2 points, that what impact would it have? An impact can be, it will have a patent, it can have an industry, or it can have a technology transfer, or it will help solve this problem that it can do an instant check on something without, let's say, intrusion or maybe non-contact device or whatever. Things like that can happen. And therefore, these things become important, and this is a complete cycle, I would say. And unfortunately, this is not fully understood. The last one, the impact, is not fully understood, as I have said, so I'll talk about that a little later. But we should follow something of this cycle. You can combine something, you can possibly change something. So if I go to the same slide again, I can say the first two, data and information, are more related to the topic, first point, education. When I go to the intelligence, wisdom, and relevance, what I'm doing is research, possibly more of research nature. But when I go to the innovation, possibly whether innovation has an application. Innovation is not like invention. Invention can be fundamental, but innovation is more commercial in nature, of direct use. All right, and innovation has to have a commercial or a financial angle or a value. And then finally, when that happens, does it have an impact? Has it changed something in the life of people? And I think so. It's not the very hard boundary, but I've just tried to simplify it or oversimplify it to explain it to you, that these points become very important in terms of what we are doing in professional life of ours as teachers or researchers or educationists or whatever it may be. All right. In any case, we know that NEP is a framework which is there. So NEP is addressing hundreds of things in terms of documentation. But I would like to say that some of these points enlisted in NEP directly or indirectly leads to research promotion. All right, you can possibly see multidisciplinary thing can lead very easily to research things, integrated programs. Then the internationalization and ABC credit transfers and all that. Then the internships, the Prime Minister's industry internship model will lead to more practical work and innovation. ANRF anyway is coming up in a very, very big way, and recently the CEO of ANRF has been announced by the government, so this will take a big shape. Research-based degree programs, innovation and entrepreneurship, and ultimately it will drive what students want to do in this domain and how he wants to do. And then there will be more research orientation. So that's what NEP also provides to us. Teaching learning methods are very many. You have been doing it in your own way. I'm not worried about that, but I'll simply say that some of the ones which are given in this blue color here are the ones which are possibly can be said to be research driven. So please note that generating ideas, we never discuss anything in the class. It's a one-way traffic that I speak in the class and the poor students keep listening. So generating ideas by teaming and this thing, brainstorming, concept or mind mapping, case studies, cooperative learning studies, hackathons, design orientation. So these things should be followed in education system somehow. So this change should come. That stereotype lecture, stereotype something of that nature should be avoided if possible. Different subjects will be treated differently is what I would say, but you should have more openness towards learning in a different way. And AI obviously will be much more research orientation because AI thrives on the data. AI thrives on the past knowledge, accumulated knowledge, and therefore AI can give you a lot of help in the research. So how to use AI tools effectively, and particularly with the new age things which keeps coming every day, chat GPTs and DeepSeeks and whatnot. Maybe Indian versions will also be coming by this year end. So we'll see that. And in the same fashion in which India has undergone the digital transformation and all the payment systems and financial systems, I think education should also adopt the digital technologies extensively, and it can help the students and parents, university management, policy makers, funders, corporates and government, all alike. All our stakeholders will be benefited by that. I'm not going to explain you much on that, anyway you understand. But this disruption or change should also happen. So now I come to the topic which obviously, so I hope I've been able to convince that remaining static, not changing or not following some successes which we have attained in recent times will not be a good model. And unfortunately, education has not been able to do much of change and at a faster pace. I hardly know of any technology which got developed purely because the need of education, which is such a vast space. For defense, for medical, for other things, a lot of technologies have been developed. But for education, if you try to find out what technologies were developed, not much. So it's time that we wake up and we do something in this space of what you call the education, where the new things happen. All right? So, so change is a way of life is what I'm saying, and research is nothing but an outcome of that change which is happening in a graduated manner, in a systematic manner, in an organized manner. And sometimes we'll fail also, which anyway I'm going to talk about, that when you fail what happens. So coming to research, obviously many of you come from, and I believe most of you are from science background here, possibly. So the scientific research is nothing but medical research also, engineering research also, technology also, can be other things also. Helps you with problem solving, helps you with the standardization, helps you with visualization and assessments and whatnot. It also helps you with mirror of our existence. If the technology or research is good, then we can say that we are good or whatever. We can solve the real world problems, whether it is what is expected under SDGs and whatever. Use of computers and other technologies helps us make it more efficient, reliable, repeatable and all that. And then of course it helps us develop logical and analytical abilities, and then it has much more affinity towards the digital things. So this is what scientific research helps you with. And some defining example, if I may give you from the science, that how it has changed the world, is possibly that some 5 years back I was watching the IPL match on a Hotstar. Generally I'm seeing it on a normal this thing, and I was amazed to see they were showing a figure of some 50 million people seeing it directly. I'm sure this number must have gone up by 2 times, so 100 million people under the same single technology or feed are able to see everything, and that too with a feature of their own language, titles and some preferences which might be given by these things. So imagine the level of personalization and the level of expansion which has happened. But that's not something very critical. You will possibly see that exploring moon from India side with such a low cost was something very wonderful, which we know, all of us know the story. So that's another thing. And then this is another thing which was which is now becoming very popular, the Indian own GPS system, now called as a Navik, initially as IRNSS. And this is going to be better than the conventional GPS which you otherwise see, or which you have, and much more better control and much more safe for us. So various things. So if you see such examples, there will be plenty in medical domain, plenty in every other domain. I would say that we have shrunk the world. With all these communication, with all these electronic technologies and digital things and various other things which are there, converted into a global village with multitude of technologies which are there. The sensors, the cameras, the various things which are there, the networks, the wireless things and all that. So science has that power to create that disruption. It's up to us whether the disruption is good or bad is a different thing, all right, but it creates that disruption, and science has that power. And that's why you go to my third slide where I said I'm going to focus about technology only, because that has the power to change. Okay, you throw me more money, disruption may happen, I may not work, that's a disruption, but it may not be necessarily good or potentially very good, or it will not be very productive in long run. In any case, we have such a huge set of missions which are there. And by the way, I have not listed a single medical thing because I am not an expert in that. Quantum mission, space missions, energy, environmental, supercomputing, electrical vehicles, materials, sensors, artificial intelligence, these are all the missions our country is driving. And therefore, the science is going to be the mainstay of what the developed India would be, which I projected to you initially. Here is an important thing. If the Dean Research is here, he or she may please note that these changes are something very obvious. Earlier it was called R&D, but it's now more for research and innovation and things like that. Fundamental was the focus, but now it's more application oriented. It was only at the top level called PhD, but it will be now at all levels that you to inculcate the habit of research, UG, PG, PhD. Academic councils were meant for academics, but now you'll have to have a research councils. If not, you create your own body, which we have discussed sometimes. So you'll promote the research like academics only. Government funding was the principal funder earlier, but now we'll need industries and users also to fund that. Users can be industry. All right. Publications were there and important at that time also, but now publications with citations and impact have become. And the same way with patents. Patents were always important, but now patents with commercialization and technology transfer. I must say that one of my institution which I was heading, I was defending my institution's presentation for the Institution of Eminence presentation, morning 6:15 a.m. in one of the offices in Delhi. You can understand that doing that presentation. I answered almost everything. I knew everything about, because I was relatively new to the institution. But there was one point where they made me fail. And I was only a month old in that institution, and they asked me, Professor Sancheti, tell us how many technology transfers your institution has done. And unfortunately, I didn't have an answer. Forget about that. The other team members who were there for ages in that university also did not have that answer. And later, after coming back to my institution, I made them sit, we started discussing, and we found that we had 19 technology transfers, including one given to Tata's, which is called as a, which is their gold Titan, no, not Titan, what is the Tata's chain for this thing? Gold jewelry? Tanishq. Yeah. So it was a technology given to Tanishq, and they used to sell a gold in the name of the university's gold. That was the brand which, but we didn't claim it. So lack of awareness, lack of readiness, lack of focus that we are doing it but we are not bothered is not good. So that's the change of perception which I'm trying to tell you. Whatever you do, take it to logical conclusion. What is relevance? What is impact? Who is going to use it? Is it going to fail? Is it very costly? Is it not? And for that, I'll possibly give you one example later. So here you can see that change of focus obviously is more towards data. So data comes from all these things. Need possibly more, you can say, commercialization, global in nature. And then pinpointed capabilities and all that is what we want from the research, what we are trying to do, less time to do all that. And finally, we are also changing in the research in terms of that today, mostly we are subscribing to journals, so we are paying to read, but the model is going to change to pay to publish. If I want to publish my research, open access, as some of you might know, or APCs, we'll have to do that. So those changes are going to come in the education space. And then very recently, this One Nation, One Subscription has come. Its first phase is only for government institutions, around 6,400 institutions, and educational and the research. But next phase possibly will be covering all private institutions also. And the third phase will be public at large. But let's see how it succeeds and what it does. So these are some changes which are happening. But there is a lot of emphasis on simulations, CAD, modeling, sensors, automated data generation and all that. Anyway, let's go to the, how do you do the research promotion? Obviously the research promotion can happen possibly through variety of activities. I already told you, University Research Council, specialized research institutions, centers of excellence. Then of course, awards for faculty through publications and whatnot, use of full external funding for research, liberal seed grants which are important. I'm sure most of these things are being done, and support for patenting, innovation and entrepreneurship. I'm knowing that these are very well done here. So some of these things are required for research promotion, and I'm sure it will happen and continue to happen here, maybe with more things also. But when it comes to research measurement and indices, which we are now going closer to the impact, you can say, or outcomes or outputs, whatever. So you are now more worried about citations or the publications in Q1, Q2, or maybe inclusion in databases. Even today morning we are discussing something about the inclusion in databases here. So those are very important. Unfortunately, UGC care has gone out of the list right now. I intentionally didn't remove it just to make you mention that it should have been continued in my opinion, because it's important for India to have its own database to some extent. Anyway, other indices can be more towards partnered research, nationally, internationally driven projects, application translation to product and processes, and then patents published, granted, commercialized, technology transfers. These are very important for as an indices for the research. And then research related to SDGs are very important, because they can make the changes in the society in a very big way. And also the research quoted in policy framework. If Government of India is making a policy and your paper is getting quoted, I think it is an impactful thing, or it can be a good indices to say that, sir, my work contributed to this change. And you feel proud in certain cases. I've been involved not necessarily in patents, but in a lot of educational policies. And when I see that those things are happening in a big way, I feel elated, very proud. ABC was one such thing where I was heavily involved, Academic Bank of Credit. So I feel very happy. So same thing happens, that when you feel happy, when you feel excited, you are driving more things to do there. And then finally, you can possibly see that there are many impact factors which are there, measurement, which may be like H index or I-10 index, and the I5 and H5 and all those have also come. There are many other indices. I'm not going to name all of them. You can search for them, which are there. So which indices will you choose? It's up to you to do. I don't necessarily subscribe or prescribe whatever. All of them have some positives and some negatives. It's for you to decide. But if possible, try to do 2, 3, if possible. And however, I particularly like the one, and I have understood more about it only after joining Elsevier, because it comes from the Elsevier, and it's the field weighted citation index. And I've come to know that very good number of top quality institutions of the world follow FWCI as the index, because it's a normalized index. Some domains are very highly cited and impact factors are very high, and some are not. So it normalizes that. And it also normalizes the age of a person or work being done. H index grows with the age. It cannot come down. But this index can come down because it's normalization, and the world's average is 1. And therefore, if you're above average, you know that if you're above 1. But if someone says that my H index is 10 or 20 or 30, I don't know how much above or how much good I am, because every other person possibly can have more than me, like that. Okay? So these are the changes which research requires. And the challenges which I'm now noting down here are much more important. It's about the quality and integrity, plagiarism, all of you are dealing, fabrication of data and results, very common practice. Unfortunately, India has a lot of sufferance, the world also has a lot of sufferance because of that. Poor quality of peer reviewing, maybe the time pressure, or maybe the interest or intensity. And then huge growth of new journals, particularly the open access space. Pressure of publishing, many institutions do that, so those are challenges. Publishing in poor quality journals becomes easier. These days, many times we are being asked and lured that this space is available, that space is available, you can put your name, this will be the cost and all. Don't fall trapped into that, because in long run, these quack kind of approaches are not going to work for you, they'll backfire someday. And many people have suffered in their professional life because of that. All right, and then flood of conferences, real big problem, self-citation becomes very, very high. I'm going to show one data related to that. And then limited interactions between groups also for whatever reasons. So you remain in your own lab and keep doing something, and you think you have reinvented the wheel and your wheel is the best, whereas the others have done it long time back, so you don't know. And this happened with me also when I was doing my research. I spent 2 days doing something, I found out something. I was excited, I was elated, and I started talking to my group, look, I have done this, I have done that. And suddenly one guy tells me, Sandeep, do you know this gentleman? I said, I know. No, he has done something like this, like what you are trying to do. And I approached him, I talked to him, and I suddenly found that yes, he had done a good work. And suddenly my results, which after 2 days of work were pretty ordinary, I would say, compared to that, within next half an hour, I got much better results. So when you share, when you do it intergroup and all that, many things can happen. And then of course, cost of research is becoming very difficult, harsh timelines to publish, less acceptance for failure. People are not happy, unable to deal with that. So those are this thing, and less training to the young researchers. You come to PhD, you come to do research, but you don't know what research is, what may be pitfalls, right and wrong. So these are some of the things which are there, which I thought in reference to research, innovation and impact you should know. Impact will not be good just by publishing in an ordinary journal, because today it is listed somewhere and impact is there. Tomorrow that journal is delisted. However big the impact factor they claim, 5, 7, 10, is meaningless to you. So please be sure that you are not shortchanged, and therefore make sure that whatever you do is impactful. My best answer to that is try in the best of the journals in your domain from the reputed publishers, for the simple reason that even if they reject you 2, 3, 4 times, they'll give solid reasoning. But whereas in an ordinary journal, they may accept it without reason, and they will anyway not qualify why they have accepted or rejected. And therefore the learning doesn't become complete, the feedback doesn't happen. And therefore this is something very important I would like to say here. Okay? And how faculty can do, you can possibly see everything which I'm saying here is more related to the research thing. Faculty abroad program, generally you'll go not for teaching there, maybe in some cases, but mostly for common MOUs, research and all that. International faculty will also come to you here. Joint appointment with industry, because they're trying to solve the problems of industry and things like that. The faculty devotes half time here and there. Faculty industry internship program, which is what we coined 15 years back when I was in NIT Surathkal, and it's doing very well in many institutions now, that we'll send faculty for 15 days or 20 days to industry to shake hands with the industry people, to learn what they do, what tools they have, what problems they have. And with that, your teaching learning will become different. Problems which you share, examples which you share in your class will become very different. So like that, the improvements will happen. Then hiring research faculty. In one of the institutions, we had around a large number of 150 research faculties. So they propped up our research. And that led to our research output becoming much better than some of the very reputed institutions of the country within no time. And those were given high degree of freedom. They were all postdocs from outside India at least. That was a requirement. So sometimes you need that injection, or you need that pumping, which is to bring it to a certain level. So research faculty can do. And adjunct and professor of practice and all that can also do certain things. Okay. So those were the core things which I wanted to discuss with you and tell you, but there are many other things. So all said and done, who will do that? It's you and me only. Okay? Vice Chancellor cannot do much, I cannot do much. You will have to drive, your team will have to drive, your colleagues and your friends will have to drive. But ultimately, where are we standing in terms of our performance? We need to know ourselves, and that should be a constant check. I'm sure you are promoting the annual health checks here also, and it's happening world over. Why is it that? So that's health check, or the reporting or checking of your status, current status is very important. Same is the case with the research, that what's happening in the research. So I'm talking a little bit about India research performance. So here my little bit of role in Elsevier comes into play in terms of what we can do or what capabilities we have. So this is, by the way, time marked 2013 to 22. Some data were collected, some analysis were done. It can be done up to 24. 25 is in progress, but 24 data will also not be complete in certain cases. But this is done for that. And you can possibly see that India's research output was something like 1.85 million in terms of the total research at that particular point of time. Second one gives how many authors from India or Indian origin. What was our field weighted citation index at that particular time in this particular region is given here. And then here, what are the citation counts? So you can say Indian citations are very high, around 10.5, but you'll probably see the real story a little later somewhere, that how this happened or what happened. And then these are some of the major fields. If you see the circle here, where we are doing most of the publications, computer science, maths, physics, chemistry, all that are listed here. So some broad classifications can be done. You can generate your own classifications, otherwise publishers do their own. Nothing can be perfect. Many subjects will fall on the boundaries of the 2 or 3 subjects which are there, but you can do it your own classification. So this is how you understand what is India's performance. But you can take it to next year or the previous year or this regime or that regime or whatever it may be. Before NEP, after NEP, or before ANRF, after ANRF, all that you can do. And this is the 5-year research output. If you see, this must be around last year, sometime around the same time this was done. And India has reached to number 3 in the world in terms of total publications. annual publications I'm saying here. And here you can see that India sitting at 3. I will directly relate it to our economy. In economy also we are growing like that, and the same thing is in that research output also. There is a relevance which is there. Only thing is, the other two are still 3 times higher than, or more than 3 times higher than us typically. But we are growing is what is a good story which is there. And this is the output which we have. All right. And this is the trend in the research output which is being explained here. The one over there is explained for the European Union combined for the 28 countries in blue. The China, which is going up very, very strongly, which we know, and USA, which is now subsiding, going downwards. But here are the details for Middle East, India, Latin America, South Africa, South Asia and Africa. So these are some of the things. India is also growing. Middle East is also growing, which must be surprising for you, but they have established many partnerships, many universities, and they are taking many good researchers from all over the world to enhance their research. So they have also started heavily investing into research. They had oil money, they built whatever other things, they've enjoyed that, but now they've understood that the research is going to be the important things for them, and that's how the world of research is shown. By the way, this data line sometimes can be a little sensitive, so that the data can change there, okay? And this is the world of research trained in scholarly output. Again, the same set of countries, but in this case, the FWCI is shown here. So India's FWCI is somewhere possibly here, marginally crossing 1 typically you can say, which is around 1.07, 1.08 in recent times. But then it was initially started very low, around 0.6 or whatever it may be. And you can see here, the European Union is flat, but again US is going down and so on and so forth in terms of FWCI, and some other countries are improving. So these are the benchmarks which will be able to tell you where you are going, how you are going, and what you are doing, kind of a thing. And this one is basically a special thing which I said, and excluding self-citation. I was making a mention that what happens with the self-citation. The moment you remove the self-citation, see, India is typically second lowest performance in FWCI. So we have huge thing of self-citation. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. We become multiple authors by doing something. And you cite my papers, I cite, and there are institutions who have been pointedly told that they have been doing it internally. These are all not going to be good, because NIRF, NAC and NBA, as per my knowledge, is, which is private, personal, they are going to eliminate all these self-citations, by the way. Okay? Yes, you know that in certain cases it's essential and important, but then they cannot do much, because in most other cases they have been doing only artificially to jack up the citations. So from these kind of analysis, you can benchmark, oh, we are all BRIC nations, Brazil, China, India, and South Africa and all that, whatever BRICS nations we are trying to, let's say Africa. We can benchmark, what is Brazil doing? Are they on the same foot? Are they in a different thing, and things like that? So by doing these analysis, we can possibly do something like that. Then we can also analyze that what India is able to do in terms of which area. So like materials is one where we are doing fairly well. Which are the other publications which are getting more attention and things like that are also being mentioned here in a certain way. So you can keep analyzing how many authors are contributing, how many citations are there. So these are tools. So by the way, doing research is important, publishing research is equally important, but it's becoming even more important now to analyze the research, whether it is changing something, whether it is maintaining the world benchmarks, whether it is above an average level of performance or below average level, or whether it is impacting something or not. So like that, you will possibly would know that where our standing is right now. And this, by the way, is not given for any institution here or any time frame here, but typically an institution, maybe a high-performing institution, because Q1 journals are high here, it can show you that how many of your publications in Q1, Q2, Q4, Q3, Q4, so you can keep analyzing where we are going. So a vice chancellor or a research leader can focus that what's right or wrong, who is pulling us down, who is propping us up, something like that, you can possibly find out. And then equally important is research should be innovation, industry and society relevant. And therefore the industry and society, or institute and industry, things come into the picture. And here you can see one thing here from this particular data, may not be visible to you very clearly. Indian corporates or academics collaborate in terms of research output only 1.2%. And in terms of non-academic corporate collaboration, output is 98.8% roughly. So you can say virtually the collaboration with industries is absent. And you can see wherever the collaboration is there, the FWCI and the citations are very high. And wherever the collaboration is not there, it's pretty low. So you see the impact. So since we're talking about impact, you can analyze that what is the impact of collaboration. So collaborating with industry, you are naturally possibly with hospitals and other things can do much more. And that's why the medical research in India is doing good compared to many other research. But for many other research, there is no industry, there is no taker, and there is no partner. And therefore, you can see. And then you can also analyze that which institutions are doing best. So Tata Group is doing, Fortis is doing, ONGC is doing. So you can see from all the cited records data, those 100 million peer-reviewed data papers published where acknowledgements and contributors and authors, their origin, everything is known. From that it is derived. And so there's a lot of intelligence which comes into assessing that. Okay, you need to be intelligent to assess what is right and wrong, isn't it? So this is nothing but a sort of intelligence which you need to know. And same way with the collaboration, since we are talking about the industry collaboration, if you talk in general about the collaboration, you possibly know that it can cut the cost and it can be very useful in a different thing. It can synergize many things, fast track the work, and help for continuity, developing consultative processes and removing roadblocks. And then also helps you with a better recognition. If you have known, I do not know whether you applied for QS and THE rankings anytime, but if you know that if I'm doing the same paper alone, I'll get some X credit. But I do it with a partnership, I'll possibly get 2X credit. I do it partnership with the international thing, I'll probably get 4X credit. I'm just making some numbers here to give you this thing. So collaborations and partnerships can be very important if that happens. So make sure that if there is a potential, do it. Don't do it for sake of it, but do it. Many of us used to feel proud that I'm a single author paper writer and I've contributed this. Gone are those days. You're not going to get the same weight and you're not going to get the same intensity. However, if it is very fundamental and you have done something, please do it, because it will have huge number of citations later if it is fundamental, and you'll get the credit anyway. So collaboration is something very important. And once again, here you can see the analysis of collaboration, that what happens. Collaboration with international, only national collaborations, institutional collaborations, and no collaborations. You can gradually see the number of citations per publication going down. You can equally see the FWCI going down. The moment there is an international collaboration, things are pretty high, and then it keeps going down and down and down like that. So you probably from these numbers can analyze. Now this must have been done for India or something. You can do it for ENFOIA. You can do it for a given department. You can do it for a research center. You can possibly do it for a given faculty also. If it is possible, you can do it like that. Okay. So like this you can possibly do, and then where are our most of the documents are considered, with whom we are partnering, like United States, United Kingdom. So like that also we can analyze who are likely partners, who are working partners, who are contributing more and all that. So those things can be done. And then amongst the institutions who are doing good, possibly some of these names have come up here, Anna University or King Saud University and some IITs and all that. So you can find out. Same way you can find out how India is performing in partnership with the other countries. So you can analyze that also. You can see, and some of the details you can probably see from the FWCI, who gives you a higher FWCI or citations and all that. You can possibly see and find out who are good partners. Nordic countries or US or UK or Australia or some other. Even Pakistan is a partner, even Japan is a partner, Taiwan is a partner. Various things are there. In the same way, the partnership you can understand from what we call selected countries, that how they are partnering us. So here you can say that the BRIC countries, the Russia, China, India are not necessarily doing very well when it comes to the partnerships, but some of the others like Netherlands, Australia, UK, Canada, they are doing reasonably well. So this graph tells you that which countries are more open towards what we call the collaborations and which are not so open. So that also you have to understand. These may be political reasons, these may be financial reasons, these may be other operational reasons also, which is there. The world average sits here. So India is sitting at the world average, There will be some poor countries who will be below average, but then there are advanced countries which are much above the average which are there. So research performance in Indian institution also you can analyze, and here you can analyze that how many papers were published. I'm not intentionally giving you the name, what is the citation, how many authors, and which are the areas in which they are publishing. So like that you can keep analyzing and assessing what happens. So it's a metric, it's a barometer of what you are doing is what you need to know if you really need to know the impact which is there. So industry and societal interaction, I think, is something very, very important. All of us know that we require a huge amount of societal interaction. As engineers, I know, as doctors, you possibly interacted with society in a big way. But as engineers, some of us did not do that, and that was a bane. We failed miserably because we didn't know what kind of technology we have to develop or engineering we have to develop. We hardly knew anything because we had no connect. We are living in hostels, our own kingdoms to say so, and nothing much known what an elderly person in society will possibly need. And therefore, the interactions are very important. So something like industry internships and all that will be very, very useful here. I'm not going to explain much about it. And these are the common activities and requirements for so-called the interaction there with society: consulting, testing, research, development, design, innovation, patent productization, sharing of laboratories and infrastructure, and manpower and upgradation of skills. All these things will be required. And then, of course, we need to have good interface to know what they need and what we have and all that. So like that, we can possibly do that. Then comes, when it comes to impact and what you are doing today, is it helping the country or the society in terms of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals? These are all the 17 goals which are there, as you know. Okay, and here is India's performance in these 17 SDGs. How much we have published and what is our field weighted citation index. Once again, reference to a certain time period. Sorry, I have not mentioned it here, but taken around 2023, October 2023. It tells you that in which area we are good. So you can possibly see that most output is in good health and well-being. That's probably because a lot of medical institutions like ours are able to do research. But our FWCI is not the highest. FWCI is highest somewhere here, where maybe you can say that the responsible consumption and production and things like that are happening, and maybe something else also, climate action is also happening. So you can keep analyzing at any level you want. This is at India level, but you can do it at your institutional level also. And this is again, how much are we publishing in different 17 SDGs. So once again, a classification comes into the picture, and you can see that our functioning when it comes to the quality of education seems to be very poor. The eye, the more open the eye, the better it is. In this case, the eye is getting closed here, so we are not good. Justice and strong institutions, again, we are not necessarily very good. But we are certainly good in consumption and production, and maybe dealing with the hunger. This says something more about the climate action. Also, India is reasonably good because our consumption are not very high in electricity and all that. So this is the publications of India relative or to the global performance which is there. So there are so many things which we can do. So an important slide here, I call them RIs. R, research, I would be any other parameters, and I've listed here some 10 parameters as you can see here: intelligence, innovation, inclusion, integrity, impact, ingenuity, various things which are there. Okay, investment, indigenization, internationalization. I consider the one in the middle two are very important: research integrity and research impact. You need to focus on this in whatever you do. These RIs are going to be the mainstay for the research. And then obviously how much you can invest, how much you can collaborate, internationalize or indigenize or whatever these may be, or ingenuity or innovation element which is there, because a lot of research is repetitive also in Indian context, not necessarily in science, but in some other domains it's like that. All right. And one possibly last thing is many people evaluate us for many things. So you can see that in terms of publications, the green is in and this is out. I'm not naming the agency which has done this, but some of these abstract reports, editorial things, letters to editors, press releases, these are all gone out. They will not be assessed as your publications or your outcomes or whatever it may be. So you can see that while you are doing such things, you do it for sake of society is fine, but not necessarily for the research metric or measurement which is there. And ultimately you can use tools like Scopus, SciWell for evaluating, planning, progressing, and some of the results which I have shown you have come from the SciWell only. Scopus is the database, but SciWell is more detailed one, which gives you in a slightly different fashion, and you can assess your progress and all that. So some time back, some of the top rating agencies of the world were using 20% as citation matrices and 30% as citation matrices and various things which were there, but they are changing constantly. Yesterday when I was traveling, I came across this, and this is going to be one of the recent announcements which is going to be there in the world rankings which are there. See the importance of research. In teaching learning also, PhD is becoming important. Teaching learning is not a normal classroom. How many PhD to bachelor's ratio? How many PhD awarded to academic staff ratio? 5% total. Research environment, something like, you can possibly see it's 14.5%. Research quality, 30%. Now of the 100% metrics I'm saying. And then international outlook. Again, a part of it will be for studies and part of it will be for research. All in all, if you add everything, you'll find research will occupy a space of 50% in terms of your ranking and rating. That is the power and the importance of research which is there. All right. And again, you can possibly see the productivity or reputation and impact, which are all these things are coming into picture. Now, these are going to be the latest trends, in my opinion, when it comes to research. Earlier, it was around 30-35%, but in my opinion, it's changing to 50%. Final thing I'll come, maybe I'll have just 10 minutes. Thought leadership reports is what we do and many other agencies do, including the country does and the ministry also does. So we have produced quite a few reports in last 2 years, 2023, 24, 25. And I'm not going to show you everything, but some highlighted ones, some special outcomes will be there from the highlighted ones. Future of evaluation and Back to Earth were the two reports from where I'll quote something. View from the top is another one where I'll quote something. And then attitude towards AI, from this again I'll try to quote something more. But you'll possibly see India as a country or our ministries and departments also doing similar reports. One of them is Tech Panorama for Atmanirbhar Bharat report by the Principal Scientific Advisor. Okay, basically Government of India has done it in 2024, a very detailed report, 218 pages if I'm not wrong. Talks about all that what we are trying to do in research and what is right and wrong. Talks about that. Expanding quality higher education through states and state public, Niti Aayog generated a report in February 2025. So once again, you will have to read all that what country expects, what they are going to fund, what they want. And then UGC, AICT, DST, DBT, MOE, everyone is trying to do a lot of things which are there. So many reports will come out. So these are nothing but abstracts and essence of what as a research unit we should try to do. All right. So quoting something from Future of Evaluation, the name itself says that how to evaluate your academic world or research world. Okay, so I'll not discuss much. But from that emerged an academic evaluation framework, which is divided into 5 elements called resources, education, knowledge creation process, knowledge created, output, and that's the process, and then outcome and impact. To us, many of the things will look like a sandwich, that they are all overlapping, but the world is different now. We know that AICT, NAC, UGC, everyone talking about outputs and outcome and impact differently. Maybe these are the strong connections which are there. And then what is impact, what is excellence, and all that is explained here. And then within that, there are something like 31 parameters which have been defined. So this work is in progress, by the way. So what will be the resources thing, what will be education, what will be outcome and this and that, how to define, how to measure that, what will be the matrices, how much will be the weightages and all that will come here. Like that we'll do. And by the way, this work is being done by my own company right now. I get involved into some of these. So we have partnered with some of the world's top universities to understand some aspects of these parameters which are there, and hopefully in times to come there will be better evaluation frameworks which will be available to you for the entire academic processes. So these are some of the things which are under development, and there is one which is in the red TUE is what I'm going to explain you a little bit. And here there is something little bit more which tells about that in terms of what we need to do, a lot of us know. I'm also trying to tell you what we need to do. But in terms of our preparedness, we don't know much how to do it. Okay, and that's the study which is saying that we are either we are prepared or not to do what is required in research or innovation or impact is probably we need to understand. So there is a lot of gap between our preparedness in this. In this particular graph, if you see the top left corner here, it shows the difference between high preparedness to high priority. So our preparedness is generally very poor, priority is very high, so these elements are sitting here, and you can possibly see some of the elements like financing the research, retaining the faculty or attracting the talent, or governance of AI, all those things. We want it very much, but we are less prepared for that. So these are the studies which tells you that which area to focus on and how to go about dealing with certain aspects which are there. All right, and this again the same thing, which is in terms of impact, because we are focusing on impact, societal impact, scientific impact, economic impact, environmental impact, and all that. This is the requirement and this is the readiness, and you can see the gaps between the requirement and readiness, and these dots are showing different regions. How is the Asia Pacific, how is the Europe, Middle East and Africa ready, and how is the Americas ready for that. So these are the studies which tells you where we are doing well, where we are not doing well, and all that possibly can tell you many things. And finally, these are also back towards, as I was referring to you on something, so I'm not going to explain you, but this is again about the impact which is there, that the society wants us to demonstrate the research contributions impact. Otherwise, there will be an existential risk in terms of what we are trying to do. And here is the typical outcome, that why we are not able to measure impact or assess the impact is primarily because of lack of common frameworks, lack of consensus on what constitutes impact, lack of resources, achieving sufficient alignment between different actors, complexity, lack of data. These are the reasons why we are not able to measure impact. So in which way to improve, how much to improve, what to improve, you can possibly understand from some of those things which are there. All right, and this is one unique thing for impact which we have done, as I was saying in one of the reports with the TU Eindhoven, Holland, that they decided a mandate some 5-7 years back that they want to do something, make an impact of this way in the society in something. Okay, so whole impact is about the society, and they were studied for last 1.5 to 2 years, and they have come out with a very beautiful kind of assessment about their own things on economic impact. That how many startups have happened, how is the average growth or in tax things have increased, how many people have settled in their region itself in vicinity of institutions. Things like that is what, so as I said, there can be environmental impact, there can be economical impact, there can be something else as an impact. So they studied about the economic impact which is there, and this report is also available. By the way, these reports which I have listed here are all available publicly. These are not private ones. And they have come out with a concept called fourth generation university. And the third generation and fourth generations are covered here in terms of comparison. But first and second generation, try to read it from the internet, possibly you will find out. First generation was not doing much of research, more of a teaching, learning. And the second generation came into the research. The third generation more industrially connected, but the fourth generation more impactful or societally connected kind of a thing is the difference which is there. And they have studied themselves and they have been granted or known now as a fourth generation university in terms of their impact which is there. So ultimately in Indian conditions, if you want to make an impact, you have to participate in some of the programs like Unnat Bharat Abhiyan or 360 degrees association with villages. Whether it's their town planning or whether it's health or whether their education or whether it is a water, sanitation, air, everything should be covered when you go to or own a village called under UBA. Not doing that every time you do blood donations or every time you do tree plantation and that's a UBA. No, that's a very rudimentary thing. I'm not against that, but that's a very simple thing. Now, most of the people, even if they are not in education, can possibly do that. But we as an engineers or you as doctors should do what your specialty can help those people. Establish educational social responsibility like corporate social responsibility. First year of internship in the social nature or in the domain which is socially relevant or in villages or whatever. Avoid driving fully residential campuses. This is my own personal thought that having lived in the hostel for 7.5 years, I felt that I was alienated from the society. I didn't know what society is and what they need, what elderly people or parents need or others. We simply thought that what we are is right kind of a thing. So maybe this fully residential campus thing, I'm not a strong advocate for that. Yes, there should be some. And then of course transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, intradisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, all these courses should happen. MOUs, we feel very happy. I have an MOU with IIT or ISC or whatever, Harvard, Stanford, whatever, though they are now getting into some trouble with US government. But we should also have MOUs with panchayats and NGOs of our own nature, do something. And promoting digital technologies will have social impact. Look at the financial world of the country, how much more transparency and speed and low cost has come into that. So societal impact can be created by these examples. And ultimately AI in research, let's avoid discussing much about it. Obviously in teaching learning it's very important. For AR, VR and mixed reality it's very important. For examinations and online proctoring, we have used it in Corona times. It is not used for counseling and career guidance because we don't have enough databases to do that. Use AI. So create something. You people are going to be the best for that you have a lot of counseling things happening in your way, and if you can create those databases, AI will be helpful. Some of the general applications I have listed, but some of the challenges which are there in the red are there. Data-driven, power-hungry, hallucinations, biases, one-size-fits-all, latency, misinformation, eroding critical thinking, and some errors. All these are the issues with AI which are there, but time will take to resolve some of, there will be more time required. But this is in education. AI for innovation, possibly, or for research will be something like that what we can do with the AI. And by the way, again, we had an AI report also where we came out with something, and we find that the positive side and negative sides are both strong. AI is expected to bring many benefits. 4 of them are listed here, all strongly there. Multiple negative impacts are also expected. People agree that AI will also be like that. So we don't know whether head is good or tail is good or whatever is good, but those are the challenges with the AI. So we had done a report on attitude towards AI. And here we know we have done the same extension of that 96% people who are assessed, and by the way, half of them were in this cohort, half of them were from medical background, I know that. So 96% claimed familiarity with AI. But of the 96%, you can possibly say that the 54% said we use, but 31% for work and 23% for non-work. And 46% said we know, but we don't use it. And those who don't use it were further classified to explain, are they going to use it in future? Again, 33% said we are not sure whether they are going to use it or not. But then something like 67% expect to use it within 2 to 5 years is what they said. India was sitting somewhere in the middle. At some other places the responses were different. So some studies were carried out that how some technology is going to be accepted and fanned out and all that. In any case, Scopus is a database, for example. It's highly suitable for AI-like thing. Anything which Scopus AI gives you a reference to that why such an answer is given by the AI to you. In most other cases, AI will not be able to give you the old references why an answer is given. I write that I have gone to moon, and AI, the systems will take that, oh, Sandeep Sancheti has gone to moon and he says something. But you possibly will know that will be incorrect. But AI would not easily know that. In a peer-reviewed data, it will be easy that if you review the paper and you know that I have not gone, you'll never allow the paper to be published. So like that you can do. And by the way, we need to generate the AI guidelines. Only till some time back, some 3-4 months back, only European Union had done the guidelines for the AI. And this is a report which was there in March 2024. And this asterisk only refers to the European Union Commission's report. And these are the guidelines for trustworthy general AI, generative AI. And these are the operational requirements or principles for AI. You can go through the report for you to understand, but India, US possibly are still in the process of doing all that. Recommendations for researchers, you'll probably understand how to go about that from the European context. Recommendations for research organizations, for the university, what to do, what not to do. Recommendations for funding organizations who support you. All these guidelines are given. And I come to my last point called research failures. I'll not possibly discuss much. Failures are imminent, failures are common, failures are essential. Road to success generally comes from the failures only. So research failure is, research is hitting in dark. There is a moving target, there is a shifting goal, and therefore sometimes it makes the attainments very difficult. All right? And therefore careful selection of problems, choosing right starting points, answering at every step why, when, how, what kind of a thing, and creating plan ABC will possibly lead you to more success against the failures which are there. Oh, I hope you understand what I'm saying. And failures, developing new knowledge can be success. Success, we are all happy with, go gaga about that, what we have done. But unfortunately, we don't talk about our failures. How many times have you read a paper which talks about failure or which has been published? Now, that's very wrong, and therefore, road to success is generally through path of failures. Failure is also a new knowledge. If I tell you this is not going to work, maybe in your medical domain it's more, but in engineering domain, we don't talk about failures easily. And we don't say that don't do this, don't do that, something like that. And therefore, sometimes it can be equally or more important. And recording failures is a challenge, but required, though no one likes it. And we should, societal acceptance for failures is very important. In India, the moment I do a startup, and my startup will not work, next day my neighbors will start looking down upon me, tell others, hey, his son has graduated from here, he started, nothing worked. I think the societal acceptance for failure should change if you really want to do innovation, if you really want to do research, and if you really want to make an impact. Everything cannot be, what you do cannot be impact, isn't it? And therefore there would be failures which are there. So dealing with failures is something very important in life. Don't look down upon people who face failures. Pat them, support them, ask them, and genuinely help them and guide them. I'm not saying that celebrate their failures, that's a very complex thing to say, but at least accept that failures are part of life. All of us have gone through that particular route, and most of the inventions, if you see, read their stories, 100th attempt or 20th attempt or whatever X attempt, led to some success, and that too also by accident in many cases. And therefore failures should also be recognized as far as research, innovation, entrepreneurship, incubation, impact, etc. is concerned. Okay, I'm just giving you a final example of a major research failure, and this is from the electronics engineering side. In the year around 2000, or maybe earlier than 2000 it started, India didn't have the mobile connectivity or telephones density. So India became a part of a project called Iridium, where 77 satellites were to be launched. Ultimately, in lower Earth orbit, 66 satellites were launched in the year 2000 by a consortium of countries which were there. India was a part of it, and we lost a lot of money. Linked through free space optical communication. You know the RF Wi-Fi, all your mobiles and devices are connected. But are you connected through optical Wi-Fi? No, not yet, but they were in the year 2000, 25 years back. And that too in the upper space, the satellites were connected. All to give you a very huge seamless connectivity. One hop, and you'll go to, whether you are in US or Russia, you can connect from this place. Okay, that was the purpose of this. It was a failure, typically, in general, as a major failure, because it was a good technology, but the cost was too high. The cost was too high at that time. 40 rupees a second in the year 2000 was the cost of connectivity. So I'll possibly own the phone, but I'll not dial anything from the phone. That was the kind of a thing. So they did not make profit. Maybe they were much ahead of time. So yes, so there was a technology. So if you see my initial cycle, data, information, intelligence, wisdom, foresight was there in that. Relevance was there. Okay, that it was relevant in the context, but everyone needed phone. And then there was an application. Everything was there, but the impact missed in that particular case. The last phase which I showed you in the initial slide, impact was not there. The whole technology got killed. It's a different thing now that every Tom, Dick and Harry is launching satellites. It's all because of those experimentations that they have learned how to launch lower Earth orbit satellites and do certain things with those satellites which are there. So while it was a failure at that time, it is now leading to more successes because it was curated and the knowledge got developed and so on and so forth. So sometimes failures can lead to a much delayed success also, is what I'm trying to say. And the context of impact is most easily understood by this particular example. All right, so finally I come to the conclusion. I had sought time up till 1 p.m. I don't know if I bored you much, but I thought I must give you, share my experience in this particular domain. And therefore, you can say that the research and innovation are becoming very important, challenging, and due to several aspects of those RIs which I told you. The research with I, which I told you, some 10 of them become important. New transformations and approaches are required to upscale the research performance, innovation performance. Regularly measuring and qualifying research against expected benchmarks is a clear requirement. Doing research is not sufficient. Benchmarking is required. India's overall performance is upwardly moving, but we still have a long way to go. We are growing, but to challenge others will have a long time to do. Use of tools and databases and their AI-enabled offerings can accelerate or catalyze the research. The study of global reports can help us understand many facets of academic and research evaluations and other aspects very well. Institutional societal tolerance for research-related failure should improve. That's the duty of the Dean Research, if I may say so, that you should educate that, okay, as long as you have given your best effort and still you are not getting, it may be accepted. Otherwise, people are fearful. They don't take plunge. Many good people don't write projects because they don't want to answer those audit questions and various other things which happen and run around the offices to buy and do completion of the project and all that. So that should be avoided. And finally, I must tell you that have you heard of the last line in recent context? Government of India last week only has constituted a committee under the principal scientific advisors body to do what we call ease of doing research. How to help researchers to do research without too much of hassles is so this is being now addressed at the top level. So you understand the importance of the research everywhere. You understand the importance the government is giving. You understand the ANRF and other systems which are being made available to you, or you also understand the tools and tactics which can help you with all that which is needed in the research and innovation space. So I think with this, I'd like to conclude. Thank you so much for your attention. Really appreciate your kind presence in listening to all that which I wanted to share. And certainly would like to thank the Association of Indian Universities and the Yenopaya Deemed University, and of course all of you and all the leadership at both the places for this opportunity, and will be happy to be part of this journey of research or evolution or newness or improvement in every aspect of our life, our work, our presence and contribution to the society. I think with this aim and with this expectation, I'd like to close my address. Thank you once again. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir, for that enlightening, inspiring, and thought-provoking lecture. We truly appreciate the valuable insights you have shared with us today. We are now open for a brief question and answer session. Any questions from the audience?
Asking questions why, when, how, what, all those are very important in the life of a researcher. And make it a habit that anything which you have not understood, anything which you want to be knowing a little bit more deeply, you should raise questions. Not only to the experts, so-called expert. No one is expert, by the way. Everyone is a player in this whole game, team game. But so-called expert, if they can answer, and if not, you mark a question to yourself also. Find out the answer, maybe over a period of time, that why it's being done, how it's being done, things like that. So let me see if you have any questions on anything. That's a big question. I think I tried to answer it even before the question was asked, that in my personal opinion, that was a good thing to have. Unfortunately, for whatever reasons, operational reasons, they have not done it. But what I hear is there will be more databases coming up, because data is important. Data is the foundation for everything which we talked. Right in the second slide, I talked about that, isn't it? So data is the oil wherever it is sitting under the ground, but that has to be there. So more data will be curated by many people in different ways. I'm sure Yenopoya will have its own database for certain things. You already have, and you'll keep creating more for that. And not only that, every other institution is required to do that. I'm talking of 2 days back. I was sitting in Jaipur in a center called Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayata Samiti. You would not know it by name, but you'll certainly know it by the Jaipur foot thing. All right? So those guys have done wonderfully well. They have given 22, 23 million limbs in the country, all free of cost for last 50 years. Not a single charge. It's only donations can be given by anyone, but the patients will not be charged. And they're developed in-house technologies. And I was advising them 2 things. One, all that what we are doing should be patented now, because someone else will patent it and then charge on us that, hey, you are using my patented technology. Though I have developed it, but someone else will get it patented, like it happened with Neem and various other things. So fighting it later will be difficult. So you better, though it's open and free and we want to promote it, but we should patent it. That's number one. And the second thing I told them that create a database of patients. What are the feedback? How we analyze them? What is going right? How many times some complaints come? Those ways and methods are not there. So even a simple charitable organization of that nature needs to get under the skin of data and technology and patents, though they are already socially very impactful. Whatever they do in the world, all put together will not be done by anyone else, typically, is what I understand. Stanfords and Harvards have come to them with their own money to develop their own things. Stanford has developed a Jaipur knee, complete thing. Of course, that has been further improved upon. Harvard, I met a couple of people from Harvard of different times there with them. One of them is doing an energy efficient foot part, not the leg full, leg they do it, whatever foot part, that how it can be more energy efficient for a user. So they are doing it. What I'm saying is world's best institutions are coming and doing it. And unless it is data driven, it will not be going to reach bigger heights in times to come. So yes, my answer to whether UGC care or our own care, there should be a care, all right? A curated database of research expressions or whatever should be there. Okay. Anything else? Are you hungry for food or hungry for research or hungry for patent or hungry for impact? The immediate impact will be of food, I know that. So anyway, you feel free to write to me. I've shared my email early also in the first slide, sandeepsancheti@gmail.com. If you have a question or idea or a suggestion. I do that, by the way. I write to some of the ministries and open reports sometimes and to others also. It's whether discarded or received is a different thing, but that's in my blood. And there are times when in sleep I solve a problem which I might have faced or I might have noticed or something bugging my mind. The first thing I do in the morning is get up and write that idea before I do anything else. And I post that idea to myself from one email to another email. So there is a record available to me that this was the idea, this is the outline of the solution, maybe some bullets are there. So maybe such things are very helpful. Such practices sometimes can be very helpful to each one of us in a different way, whatever way you want to do, that you can be more research and solution oriented and more impactful. Okay. Thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you.
I now invite Dr. Nandish PT, Controller of Examinations, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this momentous occasion. First and foremost, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Sandeep Sancheti, Vice President of Research Relations and Academic Affairs, LCY. Sir, your lecture today was nothing short of inspiring. Your insights into higher education, research collaboration, and evolving academic ecosystem were thought-provoking and immensely relevant to all of us present, sir. So thank you for taking time to be with us and for sharing your rich experience and vision. Thank you so much, sir. We are grateful to our Association of Indian Universities for this wonderful initiative and the opportunity to host the Centenary Lecture. A special word of thanks to Dr. Alok Kumar Mishra, Joint Secretary, AIU, for his virtual presence and for addressing the gathering. Our sincere thanks to the Vice Chancellor and AIU University for presenting the memento and also his continued support in making this event a success. Our sincere gratitude to our Pro Vice Chancellor for your gracious presence. We also extend our appreciation and to our Registrar for your warm welcome address and to everyone who was part of the organizing committee for ensuring that every detail was taken care with precision. To all the deans of faculty and principals, faculty members, students, guests and attendees, thank you for your presence and enthusiastic participation. Let us carry forward the insights shared today and continue working towards a future that values innovation, collaboration and academic excellence. Thank you once again. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
I request all the dignitaries to please come on stage for the national anthem. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठ द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे. I invite everyone to kindly join us for refreshments. Thank you all for being here and have a great day.